What if Pride Month isn't just a celebration, but something far more complex, and far more controlled? Behind the rainbows and parades, some believe there's a hidden operation at play, one that manipulates culture, politics, and even our very identities. Welcome to the mysterious world of Operation Pridestorm, a conspiracy theory that claims everything you thought you knew about Pride might be part of a grander, darker game. Are the colorful flags symbols of freedom, or signals in a larger scheme? Let's dive deep into the shadows behind the spotlight. The rainbow distraction. Every June, cities around the world explode into a kaleidoscope of rainbows. Skyscrapers beam colored lights into the night sky, brands suddenly remember they support equality, and timelines fill with glitter, parades, and hashtags. It's loud, it's colorful, it's everywhere. But what if all that noise isn't just celebration? What if it's camouflage? The theory begins here. While the world is distracted by Pride's dazzling lights and polarizing debates, something else is happening in the shadows. Legislation slips quietly through the cracks. Massive corporate mergers are finalized with barely a headline. Economic warnings are buried beneath drag shows and boycotts. News cycles become saturated with culture war flare-ups, ensuring we keep fighting each other instead of asking bigger questions. Is it just a coincidence that every year, right when public attention peaks around Pride, global power structures make their boldest moves? Or is the rainbow not just a symbol, but a smokescreen? Welcome to Operation Pridestorm, where celebration meets speculation. What is Operation Pridestorm? At first glance, it sounds like a bad sci-fi title or a Reddit troll's fever dream. But for those deep in the conspiracy trenches, Operation Pridestorm is whispered as one of the most ambitious psychological operations of the 21st century. The theory claims that Pridestorm isn't just a celebration of LGBTQ+ identity, it's a covert cultural weapon, designed and deployed by powerful institutions to control the masses. The masterminds? Allegedly, a hybrid alliance of government think tanks, media conglomerates, corporate boardrooms, and intelligence agencies. Their goal? Divide the population, dilute political focus, and dominate public consciousness through carefully orchestrated cultural flashpoints. According to this narrative, Pride isn't grassroots anymore, it's been hijacked. What once began as a fight for liberation is now, some believe, a psychological pressure valve. Every rainbow post, every flag-waving parade, every "Love is Love" slogan serves a deeper purpose, to spark division, inflame outrage, and keep the population in a permanent state of emotional reaction. Whether you believe it or not, Pridestorm isn't about suppressing LGBTQ+ rights, it's about weaponizing them in a broader game of manipulation. The theory suggests it's not a war on identity, but a war through identity. So the question becomes, is Pride just a party, or a psyop? The timing of Pride Month. They say timing is everything, and in the world of conspiracy, timing is rarely innocent. Every year, as the calendar flips to June, a predictable transformation begins. Corporations slap rainbows on their logos. News outlets pivot to wall-to-wall Pride coverage. Social media feeds flood with celebration, and backlash. It all happens like clockwork. But the question is, why June? Officially, Pride Month commemorates the Stonewall riots of 1969, a grassroots uprising that sparked the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement. But conspiracy theorists argue that the ritualistic precision of Pride Month's arrival each year now serves a very different purpose. They point to a disturbing pattern. June also happens to be a hotbed month for government overreach, economic shifts, and war-related escalations. Need examples? Major surveillance laws quietly renewed. Billion-dollar defense deals inked while headlines are focused on drag bans. Central banks announce massive interest hikes as the culture war drowns out dissent. To believers in Operation Pridestorm, this is no accident. June, they say, has become a strategic distraction window, a time when emotional debates dominate the public sphere, ensuring that the real power moves go unnoticed. It's a magician's trick on a global scale. Look over here at the rainbow, not over there at the legislation. Is June just Pride Month, or has it become Distraction Month? Stop. If you like this video, please give us a like, leave a comment behind, and don't forget to subscribe, since we have a new video every week. And now, let's roll back to the video. Follow the money. Whenever a movement grows big enough to attract corporate sponsorship, you can be sure of one thing: someone, somewhere, is cashing in. Take a look around during Pride Month: rainbow-themed sneakers, rainbow-branded burgers, rainbow-wrapped banking apps. From soda cans to assault rifles, nearly every product imaginable gets a limited edition splash of rainbow. But here's the kicker: where is all that money actually going? At face value, corporations claim they're supporting the community and celebrating inclusion. But dig a little deeper, and you'll find a paper trail full of contradictions. Many of the same companies waving pride flags in Western markets are quietly funding anti-LGBTQ+ policies or political candidates in others. It's not about values, it's about optics. About selling the illusion of allyship while protecting the bottom line. The theory of Operation Pridestorm suggests this isn't just hypocrisy, it's deliberate manipulation. These corporations aren't allies, they're strategic players in a broader agenda. By aligning with Pride publicly, they gain consumer loyalty and moral high ground. But while the public argues over drag shows and rainbow cookies, these same entities are raking in profits, lobbying for deregulation, and avoiding scrutiny. Worse yet, little of that money actually reaches grassroots LGBTQ+ causes. Instead, it cycles back into marketing budgets, political influence, and elite conferences where diversity is a branding strategy, not a mission. In the world of Pridestorm, the rainbow isn't just a symbol of love, it's a barcode. And once you scan it, you realize this isn't a movement, it's a marketplace. Media overload. Turn on your TV. Scroll through your phone. Open a news site. For the entire month of June, it's impossible to miss: Pride is everywhere. From viral TikToks to teary ad campaigns, from fiery cable news panels to awkward corporate posts, the media machine doesn't just report pride, it floods us with it. To the untrained eye, this might seem like progress. Visibility. Representation. Celebration. But according to believers in Operation Pridestorm, this oversaturation is no accident, it's by design. The idea? Flood the public consciousness with so much emotionally charged content that critical thinking becomes impossible. Constant stimulation, constant outrage, constant noise. 1 minute you're watching a touching coming out story, the next, you're caught in a social media war over pronouns. Meanwhile, real stories, stories that might challenge the powerful, get buried under rainbow-colored clickbait. Mass layoffs. Quiet. Surveillance legislation. Overshadowed. Corporate scandals. Reframed as diversity challenges. In Pridestorm's framework, media overload serves a double function. 1. Distraction, keeping the public's attention locked in a constant cycle of identity-based culture war. 2. Division, ensuring every Pride-related headline stokes emotional reactions, deepening ideological rifts between political tribes. It's not that Pride stories shouldn't be covered, it's that they're often used as weapons of narrative control. The media amplifies extremes, silences nuance, and turns complex issues into polarized talking points that sap the public's will to fight on anything else. By the end of June, the audience is exhausted, polarized, and most importantly, misdirected. Because while you're busy debating rainbow logos, the real power players have already moved on to the next phase. False flag division. Every movement has extremes, but what if some of those extremes aren't organic at all? According to Operation Pridestorm believers, one of the operation's core strategies is the intentional engineering of conflict. The idea is chilling: both the most radical Pride activists and the loudest anti-LGBTQ+ voices are being amplified, or even directly created, by the same hidden hands. This is where the term, false flag division, comes in. Traditionally, a false flag is a covert operation designed to appear as though it's being carried out by someone else. In this case, the theory claims that powerful actors, whether they be intelligence agencies, political operatives, or elite think tanks, plant provocateurs on both sides of the culture war. These operatives don't argue for rights or reason, they shout, scream, and make everything more extreme. A pride protester throws red paint on a church. A political pundit calls for banning LGBTQ+ people from public life. Neither reflects the average person's views, but both go viral. And that's exactly the point. By boosting the most divisive, emotional, and outrageous voices, the theory says the system is creating chaos on demand. People begin to believe they must pick a side, even if that means turning on their neighbors, friends, or co-workers. Communities fracture. Civil conversations become impossible. Social trust erodes. It's classic divide and conquer, but updated for the age of social media. Even more sinister, some versions of the theory claim that bot networks and AI-driven accounts are used to pour fuel on every cultural fire. Comment sections fill with fake arguments. Hashtags trend out of nowhere. Before you know it, you're not debating real people, you're reacting to manufactured rage. And while society burns with cultural fury, the architects of Pride Storm watch from above, undisturbed and unopposed, pushing through policies and power plays while the public fights over rainbow flags and bathroom signs. It's not about left or right. It's not even about pride. It's about making sure you're too busy fighting the wrong enemy to ever see the real one. Controlled opposition. What if the loudest voices on both sides aren't enemies, but co-workers? In the world of conspiracy, there's a chilling phrase that keeps surfacing: controlled opposition. It refers to political or cultural figures who appear to challenge the system, but are actually working for it, knowingly or unknowingly. Within the theory of Operation Pridestorm, this concept takes on a particularly disturbing form. The idea goes like this: not only has the Pride movement been hijacked, but so have its most public critics. That's right, according to Pridestorm believers, many of the most polarizing figures in the Pride versus anti-Pride debate may both be part of the same carefully staged drama. Their real job? To keep the population divided, outraged, and distracted, while giving the illusion of choice. Think about it, one influencer screams about Pride indoctrination. Another fires back with increasingly radical takes about erasing gender entirely. They argue on camera. They go viral. Millions watch. Social media takes sides. Rage builds. Everyone picks a team and digs in. But what actually changed? Nothing. That's the genius of controlled opposition. It looks like progress. It looks like rebellion. But it keeps you locked in the system's script, debating symptoms while ignoring the disease. Some theorists even point fingers at celebrity activists, fringe politicians, and viral culture war commentators, suggesting that some have been coached, funded, or even created by powerful institutions. Their role is not to fix anything, but to create a never-ending loop of tension, where every Pride Month becomes a battleground, and every battle keeps us from looking at the bigger picture. And the best part for those pulling the strings? Controlled opposition gives you the illusion of resistance, without ever threatening the structure of power itself. So the next time you see two influencers screaming at each other on split-screen news, ask yourself: are you watching a debate? Or a performance? The Rainbow Surveillance Complex. Behind every parade, every colorful banner, every joyous celebration, some conspiracy theorists see more than just festivity, they see a digital spiderweb woven tighter than ever before. Welcome to what believers call the Rainbow Surveillance Complex. Think about it, Pride events draw massive crowds, often in major cities packed with cameras, smartphones, and social media posts. Every selfie, every live stream, every hashtag is a data point. And while millions celebrate, many don't realize that these moments are also prime opportunities for mass data collection. According to the theory, government agencies and corporate tech giants use Pride events as a cover to ramp up surveillance operations. Face recognition software scans every participant's face, tracking who attends, who protests, and who speaks out. Location data is harvested from thousands of phones, painting a detailed picture of movement patterns and social networks. But why target Pride? The theory suggests that Pride gatherings are viewed as political hot zones, spaces where activism thrives, where ideas about freedom and identity challenge the status quo. Monitoring these spaces gives those in power the tools to anticipate, and potentially suppress, future protests, organize countermeasures, and identify so-called subversive elements. Even the rainbow flags themselves, which symbolize diversity and acceptance, become flags for digital tracking in this view, markers of people who might one day challenge the system. And it doesn't stop at physical surveillance. Online, algorithms track hashtags, comments, and viral posts related to Pride, flagging conversations for content moderation or deeper intelligence analysis. Social media platforms, often under pressure from governments, can quietly throttle or amplify voices as part of this information warfare. This is not just a parade. It's a data harvest. So while the world celebrates unity and love, the watchers behind the scenes are busy mapping, monitoring, and managing the crowd, turning a moment of liberation into one of control and containment. Are Pride celebrations a beacon of freedom? Or a beacon for surveillance? Psychological manipulation and identity politics. In the complex chess game of modern culture, identity has become both the battlefield and the most powerful weapon. The theory of Operation Pridestorm suggests that Pride and its surrounding politics are not just about human rights or social justice, they're a calculated tool of psychological manipulation designed to shape how people think, feel, and act. Here's how the theory unfolds. By focusing public attention on identity politics, gender, sexuality, race, and more, the powers that be create emotional flashpoints that trigger deeply personal responses. Pride becomes more than a month of celebration. It becomes a lens through which people view the world, their place in society, and even their own self-worth. This emotional intensity, according to theorists, is carefully engineered. It drives polarization, pushing people into rigid camps that define themselves by us versus them. Instead of nuanced conversations, the public discourse breaks down into slogans, hashtags, and tribal loyalty. This not only fragments society but also makes individuals more susceptible to influence because emotions override reason. Operation Pridestorm theorists argue that this manipulation goes beyond culture wars. It's a way to control political narratives, shifting debates away from systemic economic or geopolitical issues by trapping attention in identity conflicts. When everyone's focused on pronouns, bathroom laws, or parade controversies, they're less likely to scrutinize the real centers of power, banks, corporations, and governments. Even the language of pride, the flags, the slogans, the symbols, are seen as part of this psychological toolkit. They provide a sense of belonging but also serve as markers that guide thought patterns, loyalties, and behaviors in subtle but profound ways. The result? A society divided not just by ideas, but by identity itself. A society where manipulation hides behind empowerment, and where emotional allegiance can be turned against the individual. Is pride about self-expression? Or about shaping minds on a massive scale? Political exploitation and policy influence. In the tangled web of modern politics, few tools are as powerful, or as controversial, as identity movements. Operation Pridestorm theorists argue that pride, once a grassroots fight for equality, has been transformed into a political weapon, expertly wielded by parties and power brokers to shape legislation, sway elections, and control narratives. The theory suggests that pride's visibility and emotional charge make it an irresistible tool for politicians seeking votes or leverage. By aligning themselves with pride causes, elected officials gain access to passionate voter bases, energized activists, and the moral high ground. Conversely, opposing pride can rally conservative voters equally fiercely. This dynamic turns pride into a political chess piece, moved strategically to divide and conquer. But it goes deeper than mere electoral politics. According to the theory, powerful lobbyists and interest groups use pride as a smokescreen, a distracting spectacle that covers up negotiations on policies that impact everything from economic inequality to surveillance expansion. While the public debates the latest pride-related law or controversy, these hidden players quietly influence legislation behind closed doors, often pushing agendas that have little to do with LGBTQ+ rights. Operation Pride Storm proponents also point to how laws around gender identity, hate speech, and public accommodations are crafted in ways that can expand state surveillance or restrict free speech under the guise of protecting rights. They argue these policies sometimes serve to centralize power, limiting dissent and controlling public discourse. Moreover, the massive funding flowing through pride-related nonprofits and political action committees is seen not as pure altruism but as part of a larger influence machine, a complex network designed to maintain certain power structures while appearing progressive and inclusive. In this light, pride is less about liberation and more about political currency. It's a tool to mobilize, polarize, and control populations in ways that benefit elites while keeping deeper systemic issues in the shadows. Is pride the voice of progress? Or a lever for political control? Debunking. With every conspiracy theory comes a wave of skepticism. And rightfully so. The theory of Operation Pride Storm, while captivating, also invites critical examination and debunking from many angles. First, it's important to remember the roots of pride, born out of genuine struggle, pain, and resilience. The Stonewall riots and countless acts of courage that followed weren't orchestrated by shadowy cabals but by real people fighting for survival and dignity. To dismiss this history as mere puppetry undermines those lived experiences. Critics argue that much of the Operation Pride Storm theory relies on confirmation bias, selectively piecing together events and patterns to fit a narrative while ignoring contradictory evidence. For example, the widespread corporate support for pride is often framed as cynical opportunism, but many companies have made genuine strides toward inclusivity, diversity hiring, and community support that goes beyond marketing. Surveillance claims, while worth scrutiny in any context, often conflate standard security measures with targeted oppression. Large-scale events require safety protocols, and data collection is a common aspect of modern urban life, not necessarily a sinister plot. The idea of false flag provocateurs is difficult to prove and sometimes falls into the trap of explaining complexity with oversimplified villainy. Furthermore, the psychological and political manipulation theories highlight real social dynamics but may overstate the degree of centralized control in complex societies. Culture wars do often get amplified by media and political actors, but attributing this entirely to a secret operation risks ignoring genuine grassroots activism and democratic debate. Debunking doesn't mean dismissing every question or critique, it means demanding evidence, nuance, and open dialogue. It challenges us to distinguish between real social forces and imagined conspiracies, to honor lived experiences while remaining vigilant against manipulation. So, while Operation Pride Storm captures imaginations and fears, it's crucial to weigh it carefully. Not every rainbow hides a storm, and sometimes, the simplest explanation is that people are just fighting for their rights and recognition in a complicated world. In the end, debunking is about clarity, not cynicism. A call to look closer, think deeper, and engage with the truth on all sides. Conclusion. Pride, with its vibrant colors and powerful symbolism, stands as a beacon of visibility, resilience, and community for millions around the world. Yet, as with any movement that captures widespread attention, it becomes a fertile ground for both genuine celebration and deep skepticism. The theories explored here, from Operation Pride Storm's alleged psychological manipulation to claims of false flag provocateurs and surveillance, invite us to question not just what we see on the surface, but who might be shaping the narratives behind the scenes. They challenge us to consider the complex interplay between culture, politics, and power, and remind us that nothing in the public sphere exists in a vacuum. However, it's vital to approach these theories with a critical mind, distinguishing between well-founded concerns and unfounded speculation. While manipulation and exploitation can, and do, occur, they coexist with real struggles, heartfelt activism, and sincere calls for equality. Ultimately, pride embodies both the progress we've made and the work that remains. Whether viewed through the lens of conspiracy or celebration, it demands that we remain vigilant, informed, and compassionate, ready to defend truth, question authority, and honor the voices of those who have fought and continue to fight for justice. In navigating the rainbow, it's up to each of us to discern the light from the shadows and to choose a path grounded in empathy and understanding.